welcome back to Girls Can Code. Today I have a special surprise for you guys. My friend Mia and I arranged an interview with a special guest. Her name is Gayleen Gray, and she's the Assistant Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at McMaster University. She has some amazing advice and some great stories about her background to tell you guys. So I hope you enjoy.
I'm Natalie, and I'm a grade 12 student at GCVI in Guelph. And I've taken grade 11 and grade 12 computer studies, and I really enjoyed those classes, but something that I noticed in them was that there wasn't a lot of girls. So I decided to make a YouTube channel to encourage and empower younger girls to explore the computer science and even general more STEM fields, because sometimes it can be a little bit intimidating because of the lack of girls in STEM and computer studies and science. And the younger girls in elementary schools, since it seems like it's from elementary school to high school that there's less girls in STEM and computer science. So yeah, and my friend Mia here is helping me out as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mia. I also did the same courses and going to grade 12, and I'm just here to help Natalie out with this cool thing she started.
That's great. Good. Well, it's always good to have a co-pilot. So well done getting on board with this. So that's great, Natalie. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. So I'll give you a quick rundown on my history as well. I am the Assistant Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at McMaster University, which is down the road in Hamilton, Ontario. I currently am sitting in Guelph because that's where I live. Prior to moving to McMaster 3 years ago to take on this position, I worked at the University of Guelph. My last role there was the Deputy Chief Information Officer and Associate Director within the Central IT Organization, CCS. And I worked there for about 21 years. So in my role at McMaster University, I am accountable for the technology posture of the institution, which means that all things related to technology in some way roll up to me. It doesn't mean that I own them all, that I do them all, or that I even pay for them all, but there are opportunities for me to weigh in to ensure that from an institutional perspective, we are being as efficient as possible, but also as innovative and strategic as possible around our technology investments. That also includes everything from IT security or cybersecurity, the central administrative systems, a number of systems that support our academic mission, our research mission, some of the things that support the student involvement, and IT governance and McMaster's IT strategic plan all fall under my umbrella. So I love my job and I love what I do, and I love talking about this in the context of the things that you're interested in, which is around mentorship or encouragement to see people move forward and get involved within the STEM or STEAM environments. And of course, I'm interested in mentoring both anybody of any gender or any background in this environment, but I know that you have a particular area of interest around women in technology, which is great. And we can certainly talk about that from your perspective. So it's really great of you to reach out and invite me to participate today. I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, thanks for introducing yourself. So we'll get started here. Can you talk about the role that STEM or computer science in general has played in your childhood, if it has played any role?
Well, it's a great question. I'm much older than you. So I'm going to tell you that in my childhood, it was not even a thing, really. So it started to pick up. I know there are a lot of people who became hobbyists and got involved with, old school systems, usually around computer games, or the Commodore 64 or the early Apple computers and what have you. I was not an individual who was deeply involved in technology as a young person. My undergraduate degree is actually in English literature. And I went back to school in my very early 30s and retooled and gained a number of IT certifications, which is how I ended up working in higher education IT back in the late 1990s. Guys, I'm going to date myself there. Right around and right before the Y2K. I don't know if you've heard about the Y2K. So that was the time when I joined higher ed IT, and then I had an affinity for that. And through my involvement there, what I discovered is, hey, you know what? It's great to have technology experience and knowledge, but you really need a lot of other essential skills to contribute and to help advance in this area. So I'm one of those people who believes that having that technology background can be very advantageous, but it's not fully required in terms of, you know, when you come on board. It's really about your aptitude to pick up skills and knowledge along the way. And in some cases, yes, go and certify or learn specific areas. But technology now has massively extended beyond what we used to think of as people just doing programming. So there's lots of places for people to get involved. And I think it's one of the things, to your point, Natalie, if you're looking at people engaged in computer programming, I think people get very narrow in what their understanding of the technology field is. So I'm a great proponent of helping people see the much bigger picture if it's possible, so that they can find a place for themselves in this.
For sure. Yeah, I find that people tend to think that people who are in computer programming or are interested are always like a specific kind of person that is interested in video games or likes taking apart computers, but it can be a wide variety of sorts of people as well.
100%, 100%.
So the next question.
Oftentimes, women and girls face challenges in exploring or pursuing careers in STEM and computer science. Have you ever had any notable experience in which you were discouraged from participating or pursuing a career in STEM? And if so, how did you overcome this?
It's a really great question. There's a lot of literature out there. I'm sure you've done some research yourselves. Even if you just pursue this in a Google search, you're going to find all sorts of different research and more anecdotal stories and information about the challenges that women may sometimes face. You know, I think some of the barriers have dropped over time. There used to be a perception that the deep technology capabilities or that hobbyist IT aspect was a critical component of getting into STEM fields. I don't know that that's necessarily the case anymore. I think some of the barriers are actually internal. I think for us, it's, you know, as they say, if you can't see it, you can't believe that it's, you know, you can't be what you can't see, I think is the proper phrase. And so if there aren't people who are achieving or moving forward within STEM or STEAM environments, there is also that, you know, lack of linkage or affinity or awareness that there is some opportunities available. And so more and more women are available and working within this field. Barriers when it comes into career have to do a lot with how we tend to want to be superhuman. We want our career and we've got our personal pursuits. And, you know, I find that many women are quite broadly engaged across many activities and areas of interest. And so it's being able to find those, the balance between all of those things. And in many cases, I feel for women, there is this, we tend to approach our careers and opportunities from a perspective of, I need to be able to do it all, or I need to have all the skills, or I need to be proficient or an expert in everything to feel like I'm legitimately able to deliver. And that's self-perpetuating challenges. So one of the things that I have found for myself, but also for other women that I've interacted with, is finding mentors. So reaching out to people, whether it's female or male, who are able to help explain how they achieved what they did, how they got into the field, if people are not already in it, or how they've advanced in the field. So you can learn a lot from other people. The other thing that we talk about when we talk about mentorship, that's one thing. Mentoring someone is telling them how you did it so that they can try and learn from that and see if that's applicable to their approach. The other thing that's really critical for women, I find is being sponsored by somebody. So having a sponsor is somebody who's going to vouch for you and create opportunities or open doors for you, whether that's connecting you with other people or pointing you in the direction of a program or something that they can support you in achieving or accessing. So there's a lot of different ways that we tend to, and I hate to broad stroke things, but we tend to be strong communicators. We tend to be strong relationship builders. And I think that can really pay off for people as they pursue activities, either whether it's education or career activities in STEM, because it's about reaching out and creating a network of people that can support you, encourage you, help you figure out your path forward, and even sponsor and open doors for you.
Yeah, those are some good points. So you talked a little bit about your education path, but everyone has a different education pathway. We're wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what your educational background is.
Sure. So back in the mid-'80s, when I went to university the first time around, I wanted to be a journalist. And so I went to Carleton University and was enrolled in their journalism program. I switched out of that and went into English literature and did an honors degree in English literature and graduated from that program. Ended up coming out and working for a newspaper. I wrote for the newspaper, but I also did all of their design and layout of their advertising in a early Macintosh computer system, which is one of the ways I originally discovered that I really liked working with design and computer capabilities. So I did that for a couple of years, but then I veered off and did a hospitality stint for 5 years. I ran a catering restaurant business and a clubhouse at a golf course, so really not IT focused in any way at all. And then I decided I needed to go back to school. So I did pursue a number of IT specific certifications. This was in the late 90s when everything was coming up technology, and it was really, there was a drive to push people into that sphere because of the Y2K demand and the fact that technology was starting to take on a more of a profile and certainly being picked up by businesses. So I went back, I did a Microsoft Certified System Engineer and a telecommunications diploma and a number of different things like that. And that's how I landed at the institution at the University of Guelph. One of the things, and then a few years later, I did an MBA, a Master in Business Administration. And then, I think that one of the things that's a reality for most of us, and you too will experience this, I imagine, is you never stop learning. So I've gone back and undertaken other work or career specific learnings. So along the way, you tend to go to workshops or you take on new roles or responsibilities, and you get the opportunity for learning and development as part of that process as well. And you learn from doing. There's a lot of opportunity within various environments, and this is about finding the right fit for yourself. You can find opportunities within your own organization when you are working to try new things, to indicate an interest in learning under, again, mentorship opportunities with others. So my formal education is an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, and then a number of IT certifications. Informally, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always picking up new opportunities. Some of those come from presenting at conferences or becoming members of a board. I sit on a number of different boards, and so you learn around their areas of interest or their specific focus, and you learn about what they do from a business perspective, and you bring your expertise and competencies to those conversations as well. So I don't think you ever stop learning, and I think technology as an underpinning provides a lot of robust ways that you can continue to advance your knowledge and experience as well. So it's an exciting field to get into for that reason, just because things are constantly changing. And you've seen that yourselves through your own educational experience. You know, one thing, you're in a classroom, next thing you know, you're having to figure out Skype, Zoom, Teams, whatever it is, the environment, right? So everybody's dealing with those kind of technology changes around us. So being open to learning, I think, is a critical component of anyone's success.
For sure. Yeah, it's good to keep on learning.
It is. I know that might be daunting for people who are hoping to graduate in a year, but anyway, guess what? It never ends. That's a good thing if you like to learn. But the good news is you continue to, once you get into your career, you can pursue the things that are actually you have more passion for. And so some of the things that maybe you're not as keen about when you're in high school and or even sometimes in university, you know, you're able to guide your own path a little bit more once you're out working.